Well, we've heard lots of reports, haven't we? Not just this morning from all over Europe, but over the last few days. And as we reflect upon those reports, I guess I just want to stop for a moment and ask you to think, what are you going to do with what you've heard over the course of this FEUER conference? We've heard examples of lots of different ways of doing mission in the changing context of 2020. And hopefully there's some examples there that could work in your context, even if some of them wouldn't at the moment be possible. I basically said at the beginning of this conference that there are 3 levels of context that we might find ourselves in this year. We may find ourselves in lockdown, as some countries are at the moment, where primarily we're going to be having to do ministry online. We may find ourselves in a second context where we have restrictions, like in certain parts of Portugal, some ability to meet, but actually we're going to have to work creatively to work out what we can do within that. But if we can meet physically, that's going to be really great. And then some people may find themselves over the course of this year in situations where we're actually fairly normal. And we heard stories on the first night from Moldova and Romania about how we can do mission when we don't have restrictions and we're able to meet freely, maybe on campus or in cafes and so on. So let's look at the context that we're in and let's be ready to plan accordingly. Let's be ready to pivot as situations change. Let's make the most of every opportunity. But as we said a couple of days ago, let's not focus simply on the challenges, but let's also focus on the unique opportunities that we have at the moment and make the most of them. And let's not just focus on what we can't do, but let's think creatively about what we can do. And let's make the most of doing what we can in the midst of this situation, so that in a year's time, I pray that as we meet together, God willing, in Barcelona, we'll be able to look back and tell more wonderful stories of what God did. Not just missions happening, not just the gospel being proclaimed, but ultimately students coming to know Jesus. So let's make the most of this opportunity. And can I encourage you in your national groups, why not plan to meet either physically or on Zoom over the next few days to discuss what you've heard, and then to start to plan strategically for the coming year, if you haven't already, with all of this in mind. And we look forward to hearing of what you get up to. I'm going to hand back to Monty. Let's go back over to Northern Ireland.